Okay, Megan. Today I have a very special guest. So welcome everybody to Sending Ravens. And I've got Megan Rose on. Now she was on at very beginning of her sort of YouTube career. Wasn't that right, Megan?
Yeah, it was a little while ago. It's been
It
it's
was
been a couple months.
a lifetime ago of work because you've put out more work than a lot of people in years would put out. You've been very prolific on YouTube, in my opinion. Even though you took a few breaks, I think that the amount that you share is incredible, which is why I'm so excited about this new book. You want to
Yeah.
show them your new book?
Yeah, so my new book is called Welcome to the Future, and it's an alien abduction, a galactic war, and the birth of a new era. So yeah, I've been kind of busy. I worked really hard on this, so I'm proud of it.
Wow.
And yeah, so it's about my story, my abduction stories, and the war, the extraterrestrial war on planet Earth, and then the new advanced technology that's being released and the end of the war. So it's exciting, yeah.
Wow. Okay. So I've ordered one of those books and I can't wait. It hasn't come yet. So I'm going blind in here. I do know your work, generally speaking, but I haven't read the book. So that's disclosure. I haven't read the book, but I want Megan to tell us. So, Megan, what sort of inspired you to do the work?
I wrote the book, I dedicated the book to the children, all of the children who've been abused that we all know about, all of the little people who've been, mistreated on our
Okay.
planet. So I wrote the book for them because we're all those children, but
Yeah.
I am one of them too, because I was abducted at ages 5 years old and age 9.
Wow.
And so yeah, by aliens, by extraterrestrials.
Goodness. Do you care to give us a brief of that, or do people
Sure.
need to read it in the book, or is it in the book? Is that in?
It's in the book. I'll actually show you. When I was 5 years old, I was abducted by these guys. These are part of the invasion on planet Earth.
Ooh.
They're called the Mitra, and some people would know them as tall gray aliens.
Oh, good.
And they're skinny, they have long faces, and
Yeah.
they're from the Orion Nebula, and they came and they invaded planet Earth. And they do that. They're interested in Earth mainly because of our genetics,
Uh-huh.
where like the human race is like a melting pot of all these alien races. So our genetics are really valuable to them,
Uh-huh.
and using children for certain purposes for experiments and hybridization is is an interest of theirs. So they abducted me. They have little worker bees. The tall grays have little worker bees from Zeta Reticuli, who are small gray aliens, and those ones, they're all connected to a hive. They're artificial intelligence, and they all get instructions from a mother hive or like a supercomputer.
Uh-huh.
And so, but they abducted me when I was 5 years old. They wanted to take genetic samples of me, and so yeah, so that was scary. They took me up to a triangular shaped ship, and we're gonna do like a procedure to get my genetics.
Mhm.
But I was rescued, so that's a big part of the book too. Is I was rescued by a pilot and a crew from the Galactic Federation of Worlds, and those are some, we would know them kind of like down here as Pleiadians,
Uh-huh.
but they're tall Nordic aliens, some from the Pleiades, some from other star systems, but tall Nordic aliens. And I was rescued by a commander who I've kept in touch with. His name is Valnek. So he works for the Galactic Federation of Worlds. And I was rescued, and they took me back to their ship, and made sure I was okay, and erased my memory, and took me back. But the second time I was abducted was worse. It was by reptilians, which I drew a picture of too.
Ooh.
Um, and a lot of this too, it's the reptilian. Um,
Wow.
Yeah. And so a lot of us know them as like, shapeshifters. And I think like a lot of people are pretty familiar. They've been doing a good job making people believe that's a conspiracy theory. They don't exist.
Of course. Yeah.
But of course. But those are the aliens who are really interested in using us as, like some people eat steak, they tend to use humans for those types of things. But rituals and stuff like that. And so they abducted me, and I was taken to one of a long cylinder ship, and they were going to this reptilian. They have psychic abilities, really strong psychic abilities, and they can invade the mind of their prey, and they project fear into the mind. So this reptilian linked with me and kind of invaded my mind. And I began to understand that he was going to take me through a portal to Mars to be a super soldier. And they have secret space programs they've been cleared. Mars has been liberated, but they've had secret space programs on Mars. And they abduct children at a young age and train them, especially the children with psychic abilities, because they can traumatize them enough to make a weapon out of them and create alters to do different, it's MK Ultra, to do different jobs and be a soldier. Yeah. So, but I was rescued by the same crew, again, by Valnek and his crew. And so, yeah, that's the best part of the abduction.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this Valnek, am I saying his name right? Valnek?
Yeah, Valnek, like your neck. Yeah.
Okay, Valnek keeps in touch with you. A lot of your intel comes from Valnek, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. So I have, psychic abilities. I have my mediumship business and stuff like that. But how I communicate with him is through an implant. And it's not artificial intelligence or anything like that. It's technology from the Galactic Federation of Worlds, which I talk about in the book, how I was taken onto a ship, a Galactic Federation ship in 2019, and they placed my implant to communicate with Valnek for protection, and also so that we could disclose information in the book. And you don't need an implant to use telepathy, but so that the enemy can't intercept you, it was necessary. But it's tuned to negative ETs use implants as well, but not really for communication with humans, like telepathy back and forth. My implant is tuned to a high frequency, and then you basically teach your brain waves to open up the channel of the implant to spark. It's like an electric, kind of like a spark. It opens up the channel, and then you can communicate back and forth. So. Wow. So yeah, but I talk about that, and it was a medical facility that I went to, and there was actually hybrid children that were rescued from the undergrounds on the ship that I got to meet too. So I talk about that as well.
Now, when you say hybrids, so they're with the alien races and humans, or animals and humans. What kind of hybrid?
All different kinds, all different races, because these aliens that invaded us, the Orion Greys and the reptilians that have been working underground, have collected genetics from all over the place. And specifically the ones that I saw, it's hard to name them because they're hybrids, right? But grays mixed with humans. And also, I'm not quite sure the race, but little blue kids with blue skin, all different kinds of children in pods too, because some of them have never even left the pod, like these vertical stasis pods, and seen the light of day. So all different kinds, but humans mixed with aliens. Yeah.
And did you see what they were doing with those hybrids? Were they loose and running about, some of them? Are you saying some are in pods, or were they like enslaved, mind controlled? What was going on with the hybrids?
I was shown one was in a pod, or I was brought to specifically shown one that was in a pod, and they breed them, or they mix their genetics, and they can become super psychic.
Mhm.
And so they'll do this to create an army of psychic kids and stuff like that and use them for different purposes. But this one had, they thought might have had really psychic abilities, and he was left in the pod. And it's a vertical, like a vertical pod. People have probably seen them in movies and stuff, like sci-fi movies and
Yep.
stuff. But they weren't sure whether or not they try and like rehabilitate them, and they weren't sure of whether his body would be able to handle leaving the pod because it never had before. And then they have to learn to talk and like interact with people. So there's certain phases to, I guess, rehabilitating them. And then once, if they've passed that phase, then they go, the last phase is to socialize. And that's where I saw these little blue kids, but bald, no hair, but cute, human looking,
Yep.
but with blue type skin. And they were socializing and playing in like a little playroom, and they were ready to go to their new homes. So that's like the last phase. Yeah.
Now, when you say their new homes, so where would those homes be?
They weren't. So typically, because they were born on planet Earth, they are technically Earthlings, even though we might consider them aliens, but this would be their home planet. But our society isn't advanced or evolved enough to accept them or take care of them. So
Yeah.
they go to all over all different planets that have, what's it called? Not orphanages, but refugees for them, and or different families that want to adopt them. So they're shipped off, and that's part of the Federation's job, is to find them new homes.
Now, the way you're talking, it sounds like there's a galaxy and a universe out there, and it's full of life.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's obvious, right? But a lot of people are saying, and even quite credible truthers, not myself, because I have no idea actually, and I find this all very fascinating, and I absolutely really gravitate towards your vision and how you describe things. It feels really right, me being intuitive myself. So that's why I got you on the show. But a lot of people are saying there are no aliens, and that there are no galaxy, and that we actually live on a sort of a flat plane. There's a lot more details to that. But what do you say to people like you've been out in the universe, you've been to Mars, it sounds like, you've been in these spacecrafts and met these energies, entities, and off-worlders. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I didn't quite make it to Mars, thank God, but so that would be people, and I believe us all, because we've been lied to, right? So some people may be channeling or picking up information that way, but they might accidentally be picking up on counterintelligence because they have technology to blast counterintelligence or artificial intelligence into our brainwaves and spread that way. So flat Earth, I know to be a 3-letter agency psyop. Ooh. And the first thing that I write about it in the book, but the Orion Greys and the reptilians, the first thing, one of the big rules when they invaded planet Earth is to never tell the humans that extraterrestrial life exists. Yeah. To make us think we're the only ones, because because they don't want us to evolve. They want us to be controlled. So that was that comes from them, actually. Yeah, that was their idea.
And with the input that you're getting from your source and contact, are you feeling like there's such a thing as alliance, human alliance, and white hat type energy on the Earth?
Oh yeah, that's a big part of the book. So in the 1950s, 1940s, 1950s, the how do I say it? I'll just call them the bad humans or the bad governments. Made agreements with the Orion Greys and the reptilians for technology, for an exchange of technology. And for that exchange, these beings or these extraterrestrials basically invaded us, or our governments agreed to let us be invaded. Kind of unknowingly, but it's they manipulated free will a little bit. But the Galactic Federation of Worlds created and approached other government leaders called the White Hats and partnered with them. And that dates back to the 1950s. And I actually mentioned one of a famous president, JFK, who was working with them too. So that's part of the book. So the Earth Alliance does work with the Galactic Federation of Worlds. Yeah.
And I'm jumping around here a bit, but since I got you on, I just want to know some things.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the underground dumbs and the areas where this nefarious and really, I certain words will trigger the algorithm, so I can't say them, but let's just say very dark sort of activities are going on. And in particular with the reptilian, sounds like different various reptilian races and off-worlders that are not meaning good to humans. In those dumbs, are they also creating the hybrids? Because that's what we've been hearing. So it's not just off planet that they, wow.
No, it's underground. Yeah, it's underground where a lot of this was going on. And there's a lot of stuff that they've done underground, and I don't want to trigger the algorithm, but stuff with our government leaders I put in the book too. But yeah, they did that all underground. Yeah. And the big thing is now, so the Galactic Federation of Worlds, they're a military. Yeah. And there's been counterintelligence that's been sometimes people depicting them as spirit guides or stuff like that. Yeah. Because the baddies don't want us to know that there's a real military with better technology that they have that can help us, right? Yep. So, but it's a military, and so they have a body of laws. It's called the Prime Directive. And so normally they don't interfere with an evolving society, but because we were invaded, they work for balance. And so they have a duty to help us since we don't have the technology to defeat them. And there's more aliens. There's the Andromedan Council, who come from the Andromedan galaxy, and they are tall. They're called the Zene, and they're blue, tall, humanoid looking. They have quantum technology. They predicted that had the Galactic Federation of Worlds not intervened, there would be this. It would be bad for the whole galaxy, basically. We'd be overrun by these bad guys. Yeah. So they have quantum technology that help assisted the movements, the letter 17 that I talked about in the book as well. So we had help from them too as well with their quantum technology. So yeah.
That is fascinating, because when I first started hearing about the 17th letter of the alphabet group, right away, intuitively, I knew they were working for the good and not just a psyop, although there may have been periods of time when it was maybe interfered with, apparently. Okay, but we don't know that. I don't know that for sure myself. But right away, when I first did my initial readings on that group, I got it was a group, and there were a lot of off-worlders helping with it. So I don't have all the names like you're able to say the names, and that's exactly that's what we need. We need to fill in all that gap of information. But I was getting the feeling that it was both humans in particular, maybe ex-military, ex-leaders, maybe even, people that were trained in military, very high up ranking military type activities. That was the feeling I got. So does that make sense too?
Yeah, totally. That's exactly right.
Yeah. So I was getting
as usual.
Fascinating. Okay. Wow. It's so fun to collaborate with somebody who's got like direct intel for this. I'm finding it fascinating. And it's so good of you to share all your experiences, because it can't have been easy. Do you feel safe now? Like having been abducted, it sounds like at least twice?
Yeah, well, I mean, the war is over. The malevolent ETs have been kicked off. That was the Federation's job. Their job was to kick the bad guys, the bad extraterrestrials off. And then we still have the bad humans, the black hats and the white hats, right? So now it's the humans' job to basically take our planet back. They can't interfere with the humans. Yeah, I feel safe. It's, if there's a period of time where I couldn't share, what I went through, but now I feel like it's time now. So yeah, but it is scary. I mean, it is like, oh shoot, it is a little nerve-wracking sometimes, but yeah.
Yeah. Now, family members, did you ever tell your family members when you were, even the first abduction, you were saying you were 5? Did your mother know about it? Did your parents know about it? Did any siblings know about it?
Yeah, so my memories, Valnek, after he took me to the Federation ship, erased my memories so I could live a normal life.
Yeah.
And I didn't get them. My memory had been restored in 2019. So I didn't know, like when I was a little girl, and like, thank goodness I didn't remember it because it was so out of this world. I mean,
Yeah.
but I definitely had phobias. Like I didn't sleep for years, or I refused to go to sleep because I associated that with being taken. And I definitely, when I was abducted, like the little grays, for some reason, as soon as they touch you, like your body is frozen and you can't move. So I always had to sleep with like all my limbs under a blanket. And I didn't like going to the doctors and laying on like a table because that's where they put me on the ship. It laid me on a table and I couldn't move. So I had phobias, and I had memories of, I still had memories when the reptilian, and this is important actually, when the reptilian invaded my mind, he tried to get me to consent to the abduction. And if you consent, then you can't be rescued.
Yeah.
So he invaded my mind and he showed me pictures of my family, my mom being chopped up and saying, if you don't say yes, then your mom's going to die or I'm going to kill your whole family.
Wow.
And I never said yes.
Yeah.
And, but I had memories, like brief memories of what I thought were bad dreams of that happening.
Ooh, okay. Wow. That is fast. Now, when you did get these memories back, it sounds to me like it was just in time for this whole, like people needed to hear these things.
Yeah.
People needed to have this out there. So I wonder if that was on purpose that they allowed you to have the memories, or do you think that was just a natural thing, something triggered it?
I think I was allowed to have them back. Yeah, I think it was fine.
Yeah, I was getting that too, because now, because you're on the scene, it's helping a lot of people understand. It's time to know these things.
Yeah, really? Because they torture little kids is what they do, and I talk about how the bad humans had taken on their practices too, and a large amount of the little people is to help the extraterrestrials too. So I kind of explained that a bit.
Right. So they're shopping them off planet to this bunch.
Right.
And apparently what I heard, you can probably tell me if I'm on the right track here, but I heard that, I think it was in Eisenhower's time, but it could have been sooner. There was a big agreement with the US government and these bad aliens that they'd leave everybody alone, general population, if they were allowed to hunt here a certain amount of humans. And I believe Eisenhower was tricked into that somehow, supposedly.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's totally correct. Eisenhower did not want to sign with the Orion Greys. He didn't he didn't want to, but his cabinet members in the military industrial complex signed behind his back and made those agreements. It's called the Greada Treaty. And I wrote about that in the book. But Eisenhower made friends with a man that was sent from the Galactic Federation of Worlds named Val Thor. And Val Thor's job was to start an alliance and start working, get them to agree and start working with the Federation so that they could help and intervene. But the main reason the military industrial complex didn't want to sign with the Federation is because the Federation said you have to give up the atomic bombs and the nuclear weapons. And our great government leaders were like, nah.
Wow.
No thanks.
So
Yeah.
kind of signed us up to even more atrocities to the human race and, enslaved us as a race even more than it sounds like we already were.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's when they really set up the mind control. I talk about the mind control coming from the moon and the satellites and stuff, which, by the way, all of that has been taken down. And what we're doing now as a human race, and Janine, like you've been helping on your channel so much, is to wake people up. Now we have the opportunity to regain control of our mind and choose what we want for the future. So, yeah.
What do you see the moon as? What's your vision of what the moon is? Is some people are saying it's plasma, other people are saying, I actually get it's concrete enough to go there, but I get it as just a barren rock. Certainly not. I get it as it's being utilized for things that might have even been built and placed there. Now, what are your vision of that?
The moon is like a real, like kind of like a planet, sort of, a real place. And that's been used for space programs to there's been bases there for a very long time. So there was a base, how do I say it without triggering the algorithm? Whatever, there was a baddie base there that's been cleared out. And now the US is in charge of at least two, I think there's multiple bases, but at least two bases there where they're training, the Federation is training our military, the Space Command, the Space Force to fight. And we're producing a Starfleet with advanced technology to defend the planet. So we've never had like an organized space military to help defend the planet from these bad guys, right? So that's what a lot of what they're doing on the moon, and actually in Antarctica too. They're manufacturing advanced spacecraft.
Wow. Tell me more about Antarctica, because I just did a show on that today on Tarot by Janine.
Yeah, I almost had time to watch it before we popped on. So there's reptilians made agreements with Germans around World War II, and they had bases there, and those bases have been handed over to the Alliance, and they're now being used as places to train the military and produce these advanced spacecraft. It's higher density technology. So the Federation is helping us, they're giving us plans so that the humans can manufacture this technology. And it's higher density technology, which will, help defend us. It's more advanced than the Greys and the reptilians have. So,
wow. Now, I was getting that there was some kind of an odd sort of fountain of youth type, like technology. I don't know if I got it as natural. I actually got it as like a hot spring area. That they're really, people are really, like various groups are really protective of and want to use it. And it's like a fountain of youth. Does that make any sense to anything you've ever heard?
I don't know. I haven't heard of that, but it's a continent, right? So it's like so large. Isn't it the biggest continent? I don't really know, but it's highly possible.
Yeah. It's so interesting that all of the governments at some point signed off on never allowing their people to go there.
Yeah.
So that must mean they were shown what was up there, the really top level governments, to keep a pact like that when they can't really keep anything else for too long, with these governments, they could actually get together and agree to that. That was interesting.
Yeah. When they agree on things, it's suspicious.
Yeah, very suspicious, like what's going on right now all over the world.
Yeah.
But I feel like, how are your feelings on the idea that we're watching a movie, largely things playing out? Or is that not how you see it?
I don't watch, like I've committed myself not to watch the mainstream media or even anything related to like all that stuff. But I do believe that there's tons of stuff going on that we don't know, and that, yes, it's highly possible that we are watching a movie and there's some sort of safety net for us. My contact is in the Federation, so he reports to me the
Yep.
space stuff and the Federation's responsibility, but a lot of that I think would be the Alliance or the humans, the human military and the Earth Alliance. So, but yeah, I think it's totally possible.
Uh-huh. Do you feel like there's a chance there's going to be a big reveal where we get to meet some of these off-worlders, hopefully the good ones? Do you feel that?
I think so. I don't know if there's going to be a big reveal. I think it will happen. Actually, Valnick did tell me it will happen slowly over time because there's so many people. They don't want to cause people to be afraid.
Yeah.
So I think it will be slowly over time, but I don't think it's going to be like more than 10 years or 20 years or anything like that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's interesting you say that because every time I ever channeled that, I got that they are incredibly careful and very mindful of how human psyche works and really almost treating us with kid gloves in the whole situation, which some people get aggravated with, like really awake people for many years, they're getting impatient. But
Yeah.
I'm thinking this energy is looking at a really big picture of humans as an evolution. It's not, we see time in a different way, I'm sure, than they do.
Yeah. Their time is different and they want to be seen as equals. And there's a lot of people right now that are still in fear. And should they present them to everyone? They have kind of a higher energy field, and might be a need for them to be viewed as a savior, or that's why I want to reiterate the Galactic Federation of Worlds is a military. They're not a spirit guides. They're like real people like us, so they don't have time to channel tons of messages of spiritual enlightenment and stuff like that, although they are spiritually advanced. But I know it will happen slowly over time, although I know a lot of us would like them to just, pop out.
Yeah, exactly. That's funny. Now, are you continually in contact with your
Valnick.
Would you call him a fellow, or is he a sort of a non-sex? You know what I mean? Would you say he's male?
Oh no, he's male. They are, so I'll just describe him. He's on the front of the book. So this isn't an exact picture of him because I didn't take a picture and put it on here, but this is what he looks like. Yeah. And he's blonde and he's very tall, like around almost 7 feet tall, muscular, looks human like us. And then just the only difference is probably his eyes are a bit wider and they're blue. Dark blue. So,
and would you say there's a lot of people on the earth who are, like you were saying, that there's a lot of mixed people here? So from all over the galaxy, it sounded like. Yeah. With lots of bloodlines. Yeah. I wonder if when the general population is going to get let in on that, because that's something I feel like could really be helpful going forward when we eventually do meet the off-worlders, if we know we're actually all mixed ourselves.
Yeah. Humans, like the reason why they're so interested in us is because we're so powerful, because we've been recolonized and colonized and mixed with different DNA. It's like a genetic melting pot. It's like the gold at the end of the rainbow. We just haven't realized it, like, wouldn't you agree? We all have psychic, intuitive abilities,
Oh yeah. Yeah, I agree. Like I always in my messages, I'm trying to remind people how magical and powerful they are. Yeah. And when I say magical, I mean, like, we have so much mental potential to use our minds to create. Yeah. We create our destiny as we go. And I think we're just waking up to that. It's been dumbed out of us with the food manipulation, the weather manipulation, the government manipulation, all the organized religion. It's all like that was all a plan, obviously. What we call the dark hats. I mean, the bigger entities behind those human sort of minions, or it goes way deeper. I mean, it's going into these reptilian races, it sounds like. And the baddies, off-planet baddies, they're like group, like it seems like they're utilizing some of these people that are usable down here, and they've become our government. So they've placed over, I think, hundreds of years, placed people in all these high places. And of course, then there's the royal families. I mean, we have accounts of Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip shape shifting into their reptilian form.
There's a race from the Zeta Reticuli system that were completely enslaved, and how they did that was change their genetics, and they have to add reptilian genetics. So when we talk about taking medications to change our DNA and then activating a satellite, it activates a consciousness that is connected to a hive consciousness in Orion.
So you're talking about getting these.
Right.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. The demonic plan.
Yeah.
We're not far off what we're getting. Hey.
Yeah. No.
When we look into it, I mean, we're describing it slightly differently, but it sounds like we're talking about the same thing.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Wow.
But it's our job. They have no power anymore. Their military is gone. They have no power.
Okay.
So it's our job to step up and say, no.
Just say no to those minions that are left.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think really Australia's showing the way for that lately. Like just even last night, really late, I got somebody sent me a video where it sounds like they're going to be able to stop that Dan fellow, who'd be one of the biggest. Like apparently somebody got up close and personal with him. I won't say his last name, but people can look up who's Dan that everybody can't stand in Australia. You'll find him. Duck, go that. Yeah. And apparently he's not human. So this totally regular guy gets a real up close of him. And he said, that guy isn't human. And his video went viral. I still see it everywhere. He says, no, he thinks the person was AI is how he described it. So it sounds to me like they got in that guy's head and took out whatever humanness was in there and replaced it with something else.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I talk about that. I'm trying to be careful because we're going to post it on YouTube, but I talk about that in the book. Yeah. And yeah, I have a friend who lives in Australia who gives me updates. And she said that a lot of people have stood up and are banding together. So it's nice to see, it's inspiring to see. So
we're going to all have to learn that if things keep going and if the ship doesn't get turned around. I keep getting a breakthrough here sometime in this month or early December, but I'm hoping it's this month because I think, truther community and everybody's that's been on this path for the last couple of years since the first lockdown, when a lot of people woke up right on that. I feel like it's time for us to have a little bit of a show. Yeah. But of course you can't demand that in a warlike situation. I get that, but it would just really help the morale. So I'm visualizing some kind of a big domino fall this month.
Yeah. I mean, I hope so too. There's a thought that I was having before we popped on about the 10 days of darkness. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of us have thought it was going to be media blackouts. Yeah. But what I think, this is my opinion, is there's a association that starts with an I and ends with an I to illuminate, to turn the light on, if you know what I'm saying. Right. What happens when you turn the light off?
Yeah.
That's how I perceived it.
Wonderful. So it's going to be their light that goes out.
Right.
They're going to get the darkness. Actually, a lot of truthers are saying that now too. Apparently, that's the new idea of what that means. So yeah, you're right on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. So much fun coming from all of these different, like I'm using tarot. You actually have a contact in the outer realms. So that's fascinating, and some personal experience with actually being abducted. I mean, it must have been absolutely scary, but at the same time, without that experience, you couldn't be able to, it's almost like they chose you or the universe, your soul might have chose that experience. So you could come on here and be a teacher for
Yeah.
us. Like, we need people who can tell us what the heck's going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'd still be in the dark. Can you imagine if 17th letter of the alphabet never started posting, you know?
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of that was information given to them and or co-created with these off-worlders that you're talking about, the good ones. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, it was. And it was, they used the quantum technology to prove to us, because we think they're predicting the future kind of when you notice certain things happen. It's kind of funny like that.
Yeah.
But I guess I could say it's time travel technology, sort of, but it's quantum technology. And it was used to create one positive timeline for not just Earth, but the entire galaxy.
Yeah.
For everybody. So yeah, super exciting. But yeah, definitely I would say my experiences gave me like the extra oomph to like, I'm gonna get you.
Good for you.
I
feel like I came to it slightly differently. I don't think I don't know for sure if I was ever met any off-worlders, but not to any memories I have. I did have an experience with craft for a whole night where I lost a whole night staring at these craft. It started out and they doing all these strange motions right above me on this beach in the Haida Gwaii.
Wow.
That was in 91, or it could have been 92, actually, 1992. And a night went by and I didn't know what happened, but I was standing there in the early AM and couldn't remember anything but I wasn't tired. It was weird. So I'd been standing there all night, according to what I thought, right? And watching these things. And I remembered seeing them, but I didn't remember anything that happened other than staring up at the sky. So I must have been staring up at the sky for 8 or 10 hours, but I don't know. Who knows what happened, right? But I actually have a very sort of, not necessarily red-pilled, but my partner at the time, who I had my daughter with, saw the very same thing. And we still talk about it. Like, we saw that was real. There was a huge formation, and I've never seen anything like that myself since. But I came to the whole truth or movement and wanting to get the truth out a little different. I have memories of past lives being in tunnels and all that kind of abuse that goes along with that. And if you look at my birth chart, it would tell you the same. Like, if I enslaved lifetimes, but not this lifetime, thank goodness.
Yeah. Wow, I wonder if they were benevolent. The aliens in the formation. That's super interesting.
It felt really good.
Okay, yeah.
So, like, in the morning, I felt revitalized, and my tarot readings got a lot better after that. So I was already reading tarot, and my tarot readings got a lot better. And I did a quantum leap on getting really good at pinning down details. So my clientele grew and I was much more successful. And I really needed it then too. And I remember calling out to the universe to please show me, is this the path? I was reading cards, and I was quite, we were very poor, let's just say.
Yeah.
Living in a shack with no electricity. It was awesome. Don't get me wrong. It was the most beautiful place in the world, the Haida Gwaii. And I was right on the beach, $1 million view. But maybe we were taking in about $350 a month, between the two of us. And, but there was a lot of beauty to that lifestyle. But I was struggling. And all of a sudden, the struggle seemed to get easier and easier. And my clientele just doubled and tripled and and from then on, things just as far as clientele and the work I was doing, it just really went well after that, and I got better at my craft. So as far as I'm concerned, something good happened there.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, because a lot of people, after they have contacted their psychic abilities, like, really, because I was actually a critical care nurse, and then when they activated my implant and my memories came back, that's when my psychic abilities really I had them my whole life, but that's when I really started to do it for a living. And so that's interesting. We have that in common then.
Wow. So when you got activated, as you call it, was it fearful for you, or did it feel natural?
Oh, no, I wasn't afraid at all. And like I say, activated, but, my memories came back and I remembered, why I was here. I was here to help humanity. And then I had to, I was beamed back down to earth and to help. So no, I wasn't afraid, but I remember working as a nurse, thinking about all of the technology, how outdated it is. And then I left and I started doing psychic work.
Like for instance, this male, what's his name again?
Oh, Valnek. Yeah, that the race, the Pleiadian race. Yeah, I do look a lot like them. And I talk about the it's called the Envoy program or the Starseed Envoy program, how people from different planets have incarnated here to help. So I talk about that, and in order for that to happen, the genetics of the human body have to change just a little bit. So the soul from a different planet sometimes needs I guess you could say higher density, but they're 3D bodies, but it needs to be, the body needs to be able to accommodate the frequency of the soul. Yeah. So they change genetics and stuff like that. Okay. So, but yeah, I do look like them, yeah.
Cool. Okay. I feel really earth and human, but I don't even know what that means anymore. So
yeah.
Maybe it's just because I'm a Taurus, the sign of Earth. Like as far as I'm concerned, Taurus is actually ruled by Earth. If I could rewrite astrology, that's what I'd say. Like they gave us Venus, but what did they forget? Earth. Earth is a planet. I think Earth rules Taurus. That's what I say. I'm going to rewrite that and say that.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Right on.
That's so true.
Yeah, because on one hand, like I get the Venus thing, but yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense how intellectual Venus is. And I'm not saying some Tauruses are very intellectual, but that's not my first go-to. My go-to is all through the senses, like a true bull. I like really good food and soft clothes and fuzzy things to wear and soft. My sheets have to be really nice. And I'm very Taurus that way. And that's earthy as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Yeah, being down to earth is a good thing because all of the cellular memory and the genetics of earth is super powerful. Yeah. So people can be, there's like this perception, oh, you're like so-and-so's from a different planet or you're a star seed, you're special. That is not, that's really not the case. Being from earth, you could be super psychic because you're in touch with the entire planet. Your genetics are from here it's powerful.
I love that. That's a beautiful way to describe it.
Yeah.
Now, let's give us something you'd like us all to know going forward into our the new kind of world we're creating. I don't want to call it the new world because that has those other connotations, but the new universe, because it's not just our world, we're going to get to know the whole universe and finally understand, hopefully over years, I'm sure it'll take years, but to finally understand our history, our true history. So going into that time, what would you like to tell everybody just in parting here?
I think that the first thing we've all been taught to look for ourselves externally, through TV or, there's been programs or subscribing to an identity, but really that comes from the inside. Yeah. So we don't need to wait for anything to happen or we don't need to wait for anyone else because we are already who we are inside. Yeah. So, and if you can learn to create from the inside, then the outside will reflect that, right? Mm-hmm. Which they never wanted us to know. Yeah. I think you would agree, right?
I totally agree. I've been telling people that my whole 35 years of reading for people. That was my daily go-to sort of lesson, I guess.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, totally.
Beautiful. What a wise woman you are. So wonderful to have you. Let's tell everybody how they can find your book.
Oh, sure.
I'll definitely
Yes.
put the link below as well.
Yes, thank you. So right now it's on Amazon
Mhm.
and it's on Amazon. I'm trying to get it on Barnes and Noble, so it should be on there soon. And I'm also having it translated for people too. So
Yeah.
different languages so everyone can read it. But right now it's just on Amazon and it's called Welcome to the Future. So, or the, the link meganrosemedium.com is also on my website.
Okay, good. So you'll send me the link so I can put them below the video.
Yes, totally.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Megan. It was absolutely wonderful. And I'm so glad you reached out and let me interview you about your book. It's so exciting.
Yeah, thank you. I had a great time.
Right on. And thank you, everybody viewing and all my audience. And if you haven't liked and shared the video and subscribed, do that too. Bye-bye. Bye, Megan.